As we were designing the Royal Promenade and we were focused on how do we bring light and water into that space, which is not something that's easy to do because there's not superstructure to support it. Our designers and innovators and our new building teams and brand teams were focused on how could we be able to do that. That actually gave birth to the Pearl. And the Pearl is not only this incredible experiential installation, but it's also this superstructure that allows us to open up the side of the ship to provide that connectivity to the water and to light.
The Pearl has a lot of different purposes. It's hard to put into context. It's a bit art, a bit sculpture, a bit experience, a bit wow, but all in an architectural marvel.
There was a lot of enthusiasm around this notion of opening up the sides of the ship and getting the daylight in, which came from our original Royal Promenade with skylights. But what we really wanted to have here was the big daylight coming in from the sides and the sea view. But then with the grand architecture, we also wanted the grand idea that came along with it, and through one of the architectural explorations that we did came the idea of this large orb in the center of the ship, and it wasn't initially called the Pearl, but the Pearl became the concept that evolved from all of that.
We had the pillars going through actually the pole in the beginning. We worked on this and we thought that we can take the bulkheads away, but we can't take the pillars. It wasn't the Pearl yet, it was a round globe structure. We didn't know what we are going to put in that yet. So then we really challenged each other and we would say, hey, maybe this is a crazy thought, but how about making that entire surface of the globe, the load bearing, is that possible?
And so the Pearl is a fundamental piece of the ship structure. It is supporting all of the staterooms above it, Central Park, which is on deck 8. That 16-meter diameter sphere of steel is taller than the Hollywood sign in California.
Not only was it a major architectural feature, but it also became a very clever and brilliant structural solution because we had the 4-deck high panoramic glass that was there. That was basically replacing what naturally would have been steel. So it really is very open, very wide, and greatly letting the sunlight in.
The Pearl has been such an interesting process to see built. So we have a partner in New York that we're working with for all of the outfitting inside, and all of those pieces are built here in the United States. And then the rest of the Pearl is actually being built in Turku. The beginning started at the shipyard. It was then barged over to another facility. That facility actually had to remove a door for the Pearl to even fit in. Then it came out and back on a barge to the ship to then get put on.
With Icon, we've had to do some very interesting strategy moves when it comes to building the ship. We've had to make sure that we have certain components on board before we normally would. The Pearl's been outfitted ahead of time. Pre-outfitting is critical to save ultimately time at the end of the process.
We're here in New York, seeing the Pearl in small pieces for the first time, reviewing a mock-up, as you can see behind me. That's quite impactful for the future of Icon of the Seas.
I've been on the project for about 2 years, first time we met in person, so it's always better to see it in real life versus on the screen. We want to make sure that we select the right finish coming from the gloss level, the base color, the shimmer level, and then in order to make all of this work, we have to program it correctly.
When Royal Caribbean first contacted us, we were very excited, and we kind of thought that they were a little nuts, to be honest. They came and asked us to design something that was a lot more ambitious than anything we'd done in the past. This was the type of project that was a bit of a dream that wouldn't actually happen. So once we actually walked through all the details and it turned out this is a real project, we obviously got incredibly excited to get to work on any kind of artwork of this size and magnitude. It's really, really cool.
We've spent the past year basically iterating on those designs. We came up with a concept early on. We built a bunch of prototypes. We tested those prototypes and we learned a bunch of things.
This day has been a long time coming because we've been working on this project for over 2 years, and it's all just been over Zoom, and it kind of went through the whole it started before the pandemic. We got to the other side, and this was the first day that pretty much everyone saw it in person, seeing everyone's reactions and so forth. It was really this moment of just realizing what it is.
Everybody's going to interact and experience the Pearl in their own way. It's beautiful, it's artistic, it's incredibly creative. It's spatially so large that once you experience it, you can't quite get your head around it.
The Pearl was designed to create this ever-changing experience within itself, but also within the guest's mindset. It's a vibe. There'll be a daytime experience, nighttime, sea day, perfect day, a goodbye experience. The Pearl herself will feel very moody and will really bring Icon to life. You can sit on the steps, you can relax, you can watch what's happening below you or above you. Some days you might walk right through it, and some days you'll really stay inside of it and be awed with what's happening.
This incredible installation that will wow our guests, that all comes from dreaming and working with the best designers, the best new building team, best brand teams in the world in order to be able to then go ahead and deliver on it.
As much as we call the Royal Promenade the heart of Icon, the heartbeat exists within the Pearl.